some of the under the radar ones, right?
Exactly. So, because these are big names here, the top 10, and I know many of our listeners like to know unknown talents.
Yep.
So we're gonna mention some, and if you guys have unknown talents that we won't mention, go to the comment section and go comment who we should have mentioned.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Could you start there?
Sure. He's not going to be the highest in quality, and he was not 11th on my top 10. But I have to go with I'm going to start with some happy times for Arsenal. Okay. I love, and I've been able to watch a lot of Takehiro Tomiyasu. Okay. He plays center back. He can play right back. All right. He's disciplined. There's a mentality here that I really, really like to this signing, that if they can find their way through this crappy period of time, okay, a guy like Ben White, a guy like Takehiro Tomiyasu can be the ones to start to rebuild. And there will need other pieces will need to be added. But he's determined, he's tenacious, he's hell-bent on like learning all the time. Everyone that's essentially ever played with him and talked about him says pretty much the exact same thing. And I really do believe that it's kind of a turning of that mentality leaf that I think Arteta is trying to instill. I don't know for sure, but Tomiyasu is a good one. And I really do like that. I think they overpaid for him, but I really like that. It feels like it was rushed, but ultimately in the end, if you're going to pay money, Tomiyasu is a good find. Okay. And no, I'm not willing to wager on it. So don't.
There you go. But like you mentioned Arsenal, and I have here my notes like Stadren. I'm gonna put a bundle here, okay? They got Luke Bade for 17 million.
Yeah.
They got Kamaldeen Suleimane for 15 million.
Yep.
And they got Lovro Majer for 12 million. That adds up to 34 million. Okay? These three transfers are better, okay, in terms of business, like the money they spend and what they'll get, better than all five of those Arsenal transfers.
I know.
And then I see other clubs like in the own league.
Yeah.
We got Leicester doing better business. We got Norwich. Okay, I'm saying Norwich is doing better business than Arsenal. Zolish is going to be triple the price when he ends his time at Norwich. Kabak going there. That is an underrated move. 14 million buyout clause.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sargent. So I see some of the comment section saying, okay, you don't understand, like United can overspend with the wages and Arsenal it's 130 million, we need to spend a lot of money. No, mate.
No.
There's better players out there that you can get for a good deal. Okay, and yeah, Stade Rennes is showing how it's done, and I wanted to mention those three transfers.
Yeah, I just tried to say something positive, and right away, no, just kidding. No, I get it, and both you and I really, really want to see things different for the Gunners. That's for sure. It's just a matter of time, and hey, I could spend pretty much a whole episode talking about all of the gems that they've got in their academy that they're not really going to give a chance to. So maybe we do that one day when things calm down a little. But yeah, no, that's a good shout. I mean, Stade Rennais has been really, whoever their chief scout is, I want to know them. But the next one I got is also going to stay in the Premier League. And this is a guy I really think has been kind of under the radar because he left Barcelona on loan multiple times. He's probably got the best hair in all of the Premier League now. It's kind of David Luiz-ish. But Marc Cucarello, I mean, he's been really high up on pressures won. Basically, a lot of these stats that you don't actually see as part of the game unless you dig deeper, right? But he is relentless. He's just perfect. In that sense, to the point where I almost thought like an Arsenal should go after him, but they have Kieran Tierney and whatever. But Marc Cucurella is a great signing for Brighton. Brighton has made several great signings because they got the Ben White influx, but they were also able to hold on to Basuma. They did some good business. This transfer, who's the other one? Enoch Mwepu from Red Bull Salzburg. But Cucurella, I think, is the gem there because he was wanted by clubs a little bit higher up. He was doing pretty well for Getafe. And if they can gel all these players together, they're comfortably Premier League, and maybe they start to creep up over time, above mid-table. But Cucarello is a great, great player. I enjoy that.
I love it. That's a fantastic mention. And the more football I see is the one of the most crucial positions, at least in modern football, is becoming the wing backs.
Yeah.
And I think Brighton having Tariq Lamptey at one side, Cucurella on another, like those crosses, this speed, they have the difference there. Yeah. And yes, I do feel that that is a big testament signing to stay in the Prem. So Cucurella, that's a fantastic deal. And so I'm going to stay in the Prem because I like that conversation, Premier League.
Sure.
And I'm going to go with a player that should be on many fantasy teams. And it's Odsonne Edouard. Because he fits the profile, okay? He's French. I'm joking. Like, because they got Olis.
That's right.
They're getting so many French players. I'm joking, but
it's fair.
No, it's fair. So, but like Odsonne Edouard, Mark Gahey, Conor Gallagher, Olis, everything here is 50 million, okay? And that is a good transfer business by Crystal Palace. And do I believe Odsonne Edouard could get 10 goals in the Premier League? I do.
Yeah.
So I'm confident to see, and I think that was very overlooked. And he's a player in the biggest league in the world. So if he's scoring goals in that league, he'll be talked about. So
no, that's a good one. And you almost feel like it could be a what's his name? Dembele, like a Moussa Dembele redux.
Yes.
In terms of where he moves and he just really starts going off the charts when it comes to goal scoring. Odsonne Edouard obviously has been their, one of their top scorers over the last few years. And really expect to, it's a changing of the guard at Celtic right now, for sure. They're starting to kind of move key pieces on of the yesteryear, and they've got a fight for the SPFL title against Rangers again this year. So I hope he does well in the Premier League. You got to remember they also have Mateta, Crystal Palace do. So it's kind of like they've got some pieces. Whether or not they can put them together, that's up to Patrick Vieira. But good shout. One of the ones I got to bring up here, I'm obviously an American, but I gotta talk up my Canadian counterparts here. Taeyeon Buchanan, okay, to Club Brugge. All right, winger. He's become probably one of the best wingers in MLS. Plays for New England Revolution. But I really am keying in not just on Buchanan, who I think is going to set the Belgian league alight for them. I have to key in on the whole Club Brugge window, which feels straight out of Football Manager. Okay, you've got Antonio Nusa from the Elite Syrian. Okay, I believe he played for. He's a young 16-year-old. I believe he's a winger. You guys can tell us a little more about him, but from the clips I've seen of him in the Elite Syrian, he has been playing well beyond his years at 16. They got Owen Ottasowi, who is a U.S. men's national team player. Big guy.
Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves guy. They got him for $4 million. They got Kamo Soa, who scored close to double digits in the Pro League last year, but was on loan from Leicester. They got Stanley Soki from Nice. Moasa, the left back from Stade Rennais. Okay, because you have some has to go out to come in. I mean, these are really solid pieces that they're adding to Charles de Ketelaere. They're adding to, they brought in Wesley from Aston Villa. So I don't know what it is that made them feel like they needed to revamp their whole roster, but they collected U23s, and that's always going to get my attention. Okay.
That's they did. That's good deals there. If you're collecting youth, that's getting good deals there. So I'm gonna mention now RB Leipzig. So getting Brian Brobby, I feel like that was done so soon.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it was done at the late times in the market, people would be so hyped. And in Josh Gvardiol, I feel like he wasn't talked about enough, and Gvardiol will be the type of player that at RB Leipzig, I won't say he'll be at the standard of Upamecano, but he'll be a fantastic replacement.
Yeah.
And another mention I wanted to do in my unknown transfers is Noah Lang. Okay? A player that has a redemption and has a storyline, it's Noah Lang. And boy, oh boy, I think he's going to be a player that maybe in 3 years, he'll be going to the Prem for 30 or 40 million, and I won't be surprised. It's just a big injury. He had such a big injury, okay?
Yeah.
And what I'm liking is I'm seeing the old Noah Lang, okay? The groovy Noah Lang. They're not afraid of risking Noah Lang. So, yeah. I'm very excited.
And maybe that's why Club Brugge is collecting U23s, is because they know the writing's on the wall there.
Exactly.
And if they get 30 million for a guy they only spent 7 or 8 on from Ajax's academy, that's pretty good. But
Let's see.
he is a solid player and fearless up there. And so I'm actually going to kind of stay. Well, actually, I'm going to go to the Bundesliga, and I'm going to say something kind of negative about Arsenal. So just prefacing it, Vahid Fagir. The young 18-year-old from, I don't know how to say, but Vela, I believe is how it's pronounced, one of the Danish Superliga clubs. He's a bigger striker, only 18 years old, widely seen as one of the best forward prospects in all of Denmark. Really, this is kind of a phenomenal transfer window for any Danish prospect, right? There's like 6 or 7 that moved in this transfer window. Deremy to Ajax, Jesper Lindstrom to Frankfurt, Fagir to Stuttgart for 4 million euros. I love this particular move because it has Sven Mislintat written all over it. And I may have mispronounced his last name, but Sven Mislintat was essentially the go-to guy, the technical director for Arsenal up until he left last year. He's the guy that was responsible for Aubameyang. Okay. He was the guy that brought in, some of the ones that got fanfare early on, like Lucas Torreira. I believe he also brought in Matteo Guendouzi, but they ended up kind of, once he left, unceremoniously to join Stuttgart. They kind of became whatever, and now they're cast-offs essentially, right? But what it comes down to is Mislintat knows, how to scout these players. I think he's also credited for Ousmane Dembele for bringing him into Dortmund and then selling him off to Barcelona. But just a really, really interesting thing to look at because, Stuttgart's pretty good at identifying talent, and this 18-year-old is one that is you're gonna want to watch him. Okay. I wish I had. We need to do one where we actually go in the specs and the scouting specs on all these guys. But we don't have time to do that here, so we'll have to do it at a later date. But watch for him in Stuttgart's ranks for sure.
There you go. The missing transfer and the last under the radar under 23 transfer wasn't very under the radar, but it was in the deadline day. In my opinion, it was Moriba. Okay, because we're talking about players like Kamavinga. We're talking about all these big, huge storylines, and we forget that Moriba was balling out at Barcelona, okay, when they needed a player, not a youngster. They needed a midfielder. Yeah. And it was a youngster who stepped up. And he went to the exact place we wished he would go. So I'll be honest, he was in my top 10 under 23 transfers. So I had to mention him in the under the radar. Because it's just had to be. Like, it's a tough loss for Barcelona too. Like, Moriba is a tough loss for Barcelona.
It is, and I understand their way of rationalizing that was that his wage bill expectation was just out of this world for a kid his age. But if you have a club that's run like Leipzig, you know what you could bring in, you know what you have going out, mainly because they're selling all their best players to Bayern. But Moriba, like you said, that is just a great place, and one that you and I 100% wished that was going to be the destination of choice for him. And there's so many more beyond that. I mean, Sebastiano, like Esposito, balling out at FC Basel, and now you're adding like a Jolson Fernandez to that, and a Thomas Tavares. You've got Diego Rossi going to Fenerbahce. There's so many. I could sit here for the next 30 minutes listing ones you have to watch. They're all, they're not all like ones you got to go out and buy on FIFA, but these are just great developments for some of these young players. So if you really want to know in a particular place, a particular team, what we think of some of the transfers, please shoot it in the comments section because we would be happy to give you our opinion on that.
Exactly. There you go. Like if there's so many, like we could have so many comments, and yeah, we'll answer them, and that's more knowledge. And
Yep.
you'll let to see that.